Now, this is about to be a bit of a controversial statement, but The Dark Knight Rises is my favorite of the Christopher Nolan Batman films. I know. I love The Dark Knight Rises, though. And one of the reasons I love Dark Knight Rises is because when I saw it in theaters when I was a kid, I fell in love with Bane. And at the time, I had very little idea of who Bane as a character was, and I was enthralled with Tom Hardy's portrayal, and that led to Bane becoming my favorite Batman villain. Now, of course, I know that he's a vastly different character in the actual comic books, but there's still a piece of Tom Hardy's Bane that I absolutely love. So, when Todd McFarlane said he was making a Dark Knight trilogy of movies, Build-A-Figure line, I was stoked to get a chance to get Bane. Except for, I don't think I was fully sold on the entire wave, so I was kind of holding off at the moment. Lo and behold, San Diego Comic-Con comes in, and we get the McFarlane Toys Bane with trench coat. And he's going to be the subject of today's deceptibot9 reviews. Let's get right into the review. How's it going, everyone? deceptibot9 here, and thank you as always for joining me for another McFarlane Toys review. It's been a while since I've done one of these. It's been a while since I've picked up a McFarlane figure to begin with. I think the last one I got was the Black Manta and the Aqualad from the Page Punchers line. Don't think I ever reviewed them, but those were the last ones I got. Anyways, before we get into the review, I'd like to ask, if you like what you see, go ahead, hit that like button. And if you aren't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe already, why don't you? Hopefully that picks up on the camera. And all of my social links are in the description down below. Alright, with all that said, let's go ahead, take it down to the review station, and take a look at the McFarlane Toys Trenchcoat Bane. Alright, and here is an overview of Bane. And I'd normally say everything that he comes with, but yeah, I mean, this is it. It's kind of a weird release because he doesn't have the typical DC stand. He doesn't come with a card or anything. He's just a normal figure. I mean, maybe it comes down to the cost of the coat being there instead. And he is just a regular gold label figure. You can quick look at the packaging here. Nothing special about the packaging or anything like some of the other McFarlane Comic-Con exclusives like the Superman and the Batman. But here we get Dark Knight Rises Bane with his trench coat, and I gotta say, I love him. I've been having a lot of fun with him. There are, of course, a couple things that I probably would change, but as he stands right here, this is Bane with his trench coat, and he's great. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the details. Alright, so we'll get up close here with the head sculpt, and yeah, I mean, yeah, there's not much going on with the actual head, the face part, obviously. He's got eyes, he's got eyebrows, of course he's got all bald, but the face mask itself is molded pretty well. I mean, it looks pretty great. Mine's got a little bit of scraping right there, but no big deal. Yeah, I mean, the mask looks really, really good. Very reminiscent, of course, how it looks in the film. Moving down to the chest, get the coat out of the way a little bit. Yep, he's got his military armor up on there. The sort of military green color. You see all these straps molded in everywhere. We got it brown here. We got clips up here at the top with the skin color molded in underneath there. Arms, of course, underneath the cape or the coat are all the skin color and stuff. Coat is removable. We'll talk about that when we get to accessories and whatnot. Moving down, of course, to the arms. Underneath, obviously, is, just molded typical arms. And the fists here are molded up with their individual fists. This side is slightly different. He's got gloved side going on here with some straps a little bit up on the wrist and on the actual glove itself. We got some fold molding and everything like that. Moving down to the legs now, we've got, zippers and everything. He's got the very militaristic, like cargo pants and stuff going on. So you got folds, pant folds molded in there, pockets here up at the top. We got zippers here on the inside. knee pad little area right there, a bunch more folds and everything. Moving down to the boots, where we get a bunch of straps and laces even molded in the joint, which I think is really, really nice because it all kind of blends together very, very well. And a nice shiny boot. And of course, we'll look here at the coat, the trench coat, which I love. Very iconic Bane design in my opinion. I'm a little biased to that though, but it is furry on the inside, actual, kind of like potentially the actual material that would be on the inside of that fur coat. Very, very soft, very nice to feel. And the coat itself on the other side is, I don't know if it's actual leather. I'm not quite sure what material I would call this. I mean, it's probably just fabric. Leather is fabric, but a sort of leathery type fabric, but it's done in a deep brown color. And of course, on the inside here as well, you can see the stitching and whatnot. So yeah, all around, I mean, McFarlane always usually does pretty well on the sculpt work and everything with his figures. And of course, Bane here is no exception. I think he looks great, and I've been having a lot of fun with him overall. So let's go ahead and talk accessories. Now, he doesn't really have any. I'm going to count the trench coat as an accessory just because there's really nothing else. He was $30, so this is kind of one of the things I would probably change about him. I'm sure this coat was not cheap to make, and hence why he's part of the gold label and why he doesn't come with anything else. I just wish he came with some sort of alternate hands. The fists are fine, but it would be nice to give hand options where he can, break Batman's back, as is typical. I will break you. It's iconic. I love it. But anyway, so yeah, we already kind of looked at the trench coat itself, so not much else to say. You can remove it, which I was actually pretty hopeful that you could do, so you can have different display options here. You just got to kind of put the arms behind him a little bit, and you just pull it off like any normal person would remove their coat, except for usually you don't lose your hand when you do it. So yeah, here is Bane, all now in his regular appearance, as you would get him if he were just the Build-A-Figure, I believe. I would have to look up a picture of that Bane. I'll throw it up here in editing, but I don't believe there are any changes to this figure from the Build-A-Figure besides the addition of the coat. So while we've got the coat off, let's go ahead and hit Articulation. Now, it's actually really standard for McFarlane Articulation. We'll talk about how he is here without the coat, and then we'll throw the coat back on and kind of show some of the limitations of that there. But for the head is on a ball joint. You can get it tilting all the way around just like this. You can look down that far. You can look up that far, and it can spin all the way around, and you can go side to side with it. Just great range on the head. I absolutely love it. Arms go all the way around. They go out that far. They're kind of on that that sort of butterfly interior shoulder joint there, so you can get a little bit of wiggle out of it, up and down and forward and back. Of course, swivel here at the bicep. The elbows are on the traditional double elbow. Again, I've never really been a big fan of how McFarlane just cuts it right there, because it leaves it looking a little bit awkward sometimes from certain angles when you have cuts like that in the natural arm. So I wish there was some other way to do that instead, but oh well, it's just his style. Then of course you got the hinge swivel wrist system going on here. So it hinges all the way down and up like that. The wrist itself swivels, and if you try to swivel the actual joint, you can get it going side to side all sorts of ways just like that. The torso, this is not really the torso, it's more the waist, so there's nothing really in the torso, I'm pretty sure. I haven't been able to get in there, but yeah, there's nothing like in here. As you can see, I'm just kind of squeezing his tummy. That's just joint. There's no molding or anything going on in there. So the range on it though is really, really nice. You can see it wiggles all the way around, crunches far forward that far, goes backward that far, side to side, all that jazz. So there's a good range in there, but it is fairly hollow, just be warned. Legs go forward that far due to the diaper piece. They go backwards that far. They go out. Let's see. Can he splits? You know what? Yes, I'm counting that. Bane gets a 10 out of 10 on the splits. Good job, Bane. We love that for you. There is no real swivel up here in the leg at all. Sometimes you can get a little bit out of McFarlane's, but nothing there. The knees are, of course, on double knee joints as well, so you can get them going sort of all the way crunched up just like that. There is no swivel at the top of the boot. The top of the boot is molded into the pants, but you can swivel it at the joint right under it there. So it swivels all the way around, and you can move it up on that joint, down on that joint, and the actual foot itself, I think the foot itself is supposed to be independent. Yeah, there it goes. It's just tight on that side. So the foot itself can swing around side to side on that part of the boot. And of course, we get the toe articulation. So for the most part, Bane is just as posable as any other McFarlane figure. I've been having a lot of fun posing him around, though. I think he's really, really cool. But of course, he does have the coat. So let's throw that back on and talk about how the coat hinders any articulation. So it just blocks the arms, basically, is all it does. It can't really rotate all the way around one or the other, and it can go up, you know, about that much, which is about as far as it went up to begin with. So yeah, it really only just blocks the arms, and you can still get double elbow out of it. So not really a bad deal at all. It doesn't really hinder a lot. I mean, it doesn't hinder it really, but if you try and take pictures and stuff, the collar does pop up, I think, a little more than I would like it to. I wish it was down just a little bit more so you could get him looking off to the side or whatever. But of course, the popped collar is part of the Bane movie aesthetic. So with all that said with articulation, let's go ahead and cover some comparisons. Here's Bane with our standard Masters of the Universe Masterverse figure, just so you can get a sense of scale between those two. All right, since I don't have the Christian Bale Batman quite yet, we're going to put Bane up against another controversial take, my favorite live-action version of Batman, Ben Affleck. And, of course, we have to show live-action Bane off with one of my all-time favorite McFarlane figures, the comic version of Bane. Alright, so yeah, that's gonna about do it for my closer look at the McFarlane Toys Gold Label Bane with trench coat. So let's go ahead and break Batman's back our way up to my final thoughts. Alright, so what are my final thoughts on the trench coat Bane figure here? Well, I'm happy to have him in my collection. I honestly don't think he's anything special. He's just a very standard McFarlane figure, honestly, not a lot going on, with the exception, of course, of the soft goods trench coat. I have to say, I love the quality and the look overall of the soft goods trench coat. Soft goods is something I wish a lot of figure companies did more of. I wish capes were all soft goods with bendy wire in them. I wish all clothes were soft goods. I love what Jada does with their clothes being sort of a soft rubbery material. I'll take that any day. But yeah, I love the soft goods. And yeah, I mean, he's a solid figure. He looks great. He poses great as well, or he poses just as well as any other McFarlane figure does. And it definitely makes me want to go out and pick up those couple Dark Knight figures that I wanted, the Batman and the Scarecrow. So yeah, that's Bane. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for my full review of the McFarlane Toys San Diego Comic-Con Gold Label Bane with trench coat from the Dark Knight Rises. Go ahead, let me know your thoughts on this figure and any of the McFarlane Dark Knight figures in the comments down below. I would love to talk McFarlane Dark Knight with you all. And guys, that brings us to the end of another episode of deceptibot9 Reviews. Thank you, as always, for joining me here for another episode. It means a lot to me if you made it all the way to the end. And as always, I've been your host, deceptibot9. Thank you, as always, for joining me, and I will see you guys later.